Yep.
Most of us are caregivers for people, obviously, with some version of dementia. I'm wondering what kind of procedure there is to make sure that either the family member, basically, if you walked into my dad's hospital room and you showed him this piece of paper, he wouldn't know what you were talking about.
Right.
He can't put together 3 or
Right.
4 different step conversations. So I'm just wondering is how do you adjust to patients with dementia, given that they are not decision makers, they
Right.
cannot
Right.
follow the reasoning
question,
that a normal person would follow.
We would go to you or find you or the POA or the caregiver, the surrogate or the proxy.
Okay.
Because you need that for everything. When you come in for, let's say you come in and you're down. They find you down. It happens all the time. It's sad, but it happens. Patient's found down. EMS picks them up, neighbor finds them, brings them in. How do we know? How do we know if they are a DNR? How do we know if what they want? When you have these, it's a constant. We got to find family. We got to find decision maker. Do they have a living will? Do they have advance directives? We have to find somebody because it's not just this. It's do we do life-saving measures? Do we do intubation? They may not want that. So it's a quick. We got to find somebody that knows these folks. And if you don't and can't, you have to, by law, you have to fault to doing the most you can for them. So we don't know let's say you're caregiver for your father, but you're in Connecticut off. And something happens to him, he has a heart attack in the front yard. EMS picks him up and brings him in. You may know he didn't ever want to be on a ventilator and intubated and this. But if we can't find you and we can't locate you, by law, we have to do everything we can. So until we locate you, we're going to do. And if it's something simple, we locate you. Hey, your dad's here. We need you to come. We need you to sign him in. This is what we're doing. So that's what we do. Good question.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, a couple of little definitions, and we're going to get to this observation piece real quick. Inpatient. All right, so when you think about inpatient, you think about being in one of the up in the floors, and you've been there, that's acute hospital care. All right, so Medicare is going to cover that for you if that's the intent. I mean, you're up there with constant monitoring, nurses, doctors seeing you once or twice. You got oxygen going, you got telemetry going, a lot of intense services. Okay, so that's inpatient care. You got to be up there. Or that inpatient only list. You got a carotid, it has to be done. If you get a total knee, a total hip, you have practically any surgery on your, in your abdomen, any open surgery, all has to be inpatient, but you'll be getting a lot of care. We talked about them. There's your emergency room right there. You guys know that. Now, observation. Here's the crux and the problem and the issues that Brian Williams and everybody else is talking about. And you even see, we got articles in the Wall Street Journal. Tell your doctor. Medicare, attorneys for Medicare, putting things in the Wall Street Journal. Tell your physician. Don't let him put you in his observation. Make sure you're an inpatient. Well, that's total misinformation. We've talked about that. You can't just tell your physician, I want to be an inpatient. Well, you've got a UTI. Your insurance isn't going to cover that, right? Or similar. So, observation. Here's how you think about observation. Think about it like getting physical therapy. All right? So if you go in the hospital today, who's had physical therapy recently in the hospital? Well, if you were an outpatient, right, they would have come to you and said, oh, hey, you're an outpatient. Let's say you hurt your knee and you're staying overnight. Physical therapy comes to you and says you're an outpatient, right? You're in a bed, but you're an outpatient. And as an outpatient, you're going to have 20% of charges on the therapy we're getting ready to do for you. Do you want to do that? Because you've got a cap. You got like an $1,800 cap yearly. If you don't want to do it, you go, I'll get it at home. I'll get it wherever. Maybe you got an uncle that owns a therapy or a brother that owns a therapy service, whatever. That's your choice. So they'll come to you and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Same thing if you're laying up in the bed for any other service. This observation piece is you're getting services. What services? Testing, just like the chest pain. We're going to run some labs. We're going to run your troponins. We need to see. I'm going to put you in bed 432 to decide if you need to be admitted as an inpatient. So you're in bed. They're running tests, trying to figure out. The attending doctor is trying to figure out, do I need to admit them to an inpatient? Are they this sick? And think about the chest pain. Well, more times than not, thank goodness, it comes out, oh, it was gas, it was reflux, and we're safe. Go home. Nope, it was an MI. There's the troponin. Boom, you're an inpatient. But to run those tests, to get all that information, all that testing, and get that back, you're laying up in the bed. So they're observing you, trying to figure out if they're going to admit you as an inpatient. That's the key to understanding observation. Because what you really are, now follow me, remember there's only 2 levels of care for Medicare. In, out. In, out. So if you're laying up in a bed receiving these services, what do you think you are? Outpatient. Sorry. You're an outpatient getting these services. This is where your 20% comes in. This is what Part B pays for. So this is where you can rack up a bill, but it's your choice. You may be having a heart attack, Bob, so we're going to put you up here and test you. I'm not staying. I'm not paying 20%. That's your choice. They can't hold you back and keep you there, but they're going to tell you, you might want to stay until we figure out what's happened to you here. Yeah.
But I think the real problem that ended up in the news because you're in under observation. Then the hospital says, well, you need rehab now. And they want to discharge you to a rehab unit. You discharge to the rehab unit, and there's no coverage for that because you were never an inpatient.
That's right. Now, and we're going to talk about that. So any other questions on this? That's good. That's good.
But how does one keep from that from happening?
Well,
Also,
that's...
But I think the observation of 20%, you've got some good supplemental policies where it's harder. And the 80, they will pick up the 20%.
They'll pick up the 20%. Now, I would just, I'm not going to stand here and promote certain policies, or I'm not, don't sell anything. But I've seen really good outcomes with your Medicare, okay, traditional Medicare, and a very good supplement that'll cover the 20% for everything. Because there's a lot to what Medicare will and will not cover. And we're going to hit on it. He's made some good points. A straight Medicare with a good, solid supplement goes a long way for a lot of stuff when it comes to Medicare. I'm not promoting any certain thing, but I'm just telling you.
I think the confusion for me anyway is it's your doctor.
It's the guy taking care of you or the girl taking care of you in the hospital. Who's coming to see you in the hospital? So your doctor out here that if they don't have admitting privileges and they're not showing up every day when you're in the hospital seeing you, that's not your doctor. That doctor, your doctor out here, 99% of them are doing primary care. They have no privileges at this hospital. We have some that do, so you may have one or two. Okay, we got some physicians that have admitting privileges in this hospital, but it's very few. So if your doctor that you see when you go in for your regular checkups and stuff, he or she comes and actually is your attending physician and comes by and is your caregiver, taking care of you in the hospital, that's your attending physician. But 99% of them No matter where you go in the United States, it's going to be a physician that just works in a hospital. Those guys that work in the hospital do not see patients out here typically, and vice versa. They just don't have the time or the energy.
Is there a communication link or cooperation between?
There is. And what you don't see a lot of stuff behind the scenes, especially if you come in, let's say you come in emergency during the day, or you come to the hospital during the day, there's a lot of contact with your physician. They'll ask you, who's your primary doctor? Which doctor? Well, you're in the bed and you're going off to x-ray. But behind the scenes, those doctors are calling each other going, hey, listen, well, I see in the history we had this, or we got diabetes, or we had a past stent in the heart. How did this turn out? Well, there's a lot of coordination between your physicians. Lots. Yeah.
I read something within the last year that if you're admitted to the hospital, it has to be by the primary care physician. And I'm wondering if you go in, say, for a hip replacement, does the orthopedist become that primary physician, or do you have to have your PCP?
It's a good question. It would be your orthopedist.
It would be your orthopedist.
Right. It's who's caring for you in the hospital. So if you're going in for any surgery, it's that surgeon that's taking you to the procedure. They're going to be taking care of you while they're there. When you're done with your procedure, and then you can go back to your primary doctor. It's going to be the doctor that's taking care of you in the hospital. All right. Yes?
If you have A&B Medicare, does that take care of inpatient and outpatient?
Yes. But your B, your subject on your Part B, you're subject to the 20, you got 20% charges. If you don't have a supplement, they can add up a little bit. Now there's limits to that. I'm not going to get into all those right now. Maybe afterwards if you don't have, but there's a certain amount of limits. Your co-pay cannot be more than what your inpatient deductible is going to be. Who knows what their inpatient, your deductible is right now? It's like $1,200 or something like that. So each set of services can't be more than your inpatient, but that can add up. Okay, and you've got choice. Like I said, you have choice to say, I don't want therapy today. I don't think I need that. I'm not paying for that. Don't think I need that, or maybe I'll get it home, or I'll get it as an outpatient. But this is the key right here, and it has nothing to do with the physician going, I'm just going to make you an inpatient, because Medicare will not cover that. Medicare will not cover that. It's got to be appropriate. Medicare wants it to be appropriate.
So how did this woman run out an $18,000 bill?
We'll talk. It's his point, and we're going to talk about that on our next slide. Yep.